Good afternoon, everybody. How is everyone out there in Cedarfield land? I am Karen Wilder. I'm the dietitian here at Cedarfield, and this is our mostly weekly Ask the Dietitian show. Where it kind of started out as people were asking me a lot of questions during COVID about nutrition, so we kind of thought this would be a fun way to kind of keep people engaged while you were all on shutdown, and it just kind of became a tradition, which I really enjoy doing, and so I'm happy to keep doing it. I don't know what our viewership is, but even if it's just a few people, I'm happy to do it for those few people, because I learn a lot, and hopefully you do too. It's an interesting way for me to kind of keep my knowledge up to date, and I love to present lots of fun facts, so I learn all kinds of interesting things, so it's enjoyable for me, and I'm always grateful for those of you who tune in. And as you know, if you're watching, we stream this live, if you're watching right now, but we also record the show every week and put it on the My Cedarfield app. Under Pathways to Wellness, there's the Diet and Nutrition tab, which has the little apple on it, and you can scroll down there and you'll see videos, and all of the videos for the last year or so are all there. So you can binge all the videos if you want, like it's popular now. Anyway, I won't leave you with any big cliffhangers though, so probably not that as binge worthy like a good Netflix show or something. But anyway, today we are going to talk about skin health and how the role that nutrition plays into skin health. So kind of in honor of my dad, dear old dad, who is a dermatologist, a retired dermatologist. I've always kind of had an interest in things about the skin, just because we always had books laying around about dermatology issues and things like that. So, and my dad just loves to explain things in full detail. So I always got very lengthy explanations as to what moles and warts are and things like that. So. And it's very interesting when you are a dermatologist's daughter. Most people just assume that you are also a dermatologist, and I can't tell you how many questions I get about moles and acne and things like that. And I'm like, I don't know these things. I know a little bit. I probably know more than the normal person, but I'm not here to diagnose any skin conditions. But so while my dad or any other dermatologist would be able to treat issues of the skin from the outside, we can certainly use nutrition to help support the health of our skin from the inside, based on what we take in and what we put into our bodies. And there is a really big connection between our nutrition status and the health of our skin. So we'll go into that in a little bit of detail. So of course, though, I have some fun facts about skin. So we probably all know that our skin is an organ. It's considered an organ as well as a system. So if you think about all the different systems we have in our bodies, like the cardiology, the circulatory system, and the nerve system and everything. So our skin is the integumentary system. It also, that whole system includes the follicles and the glands and the hair and our nails and things like that. But the skin itself is its own organ. It's the largest organ in our body. And it's also our first line of defense against all kinds of environmental external factors that are trying to get in and wreak havoc in our bodies. So that's why our skin is just so important. Just like in cold and flu season, we talk a lot about supporting our immune system and making sure we're staying healthy. We also want to consider our skin as part of that immune system, because it's really, it's kind of just like the fort around our little kingdom, protecting us from all of the invaders out there in the air trying to get in and do some harm to us. All right, so like I said, our skin is the largest organ in our body. Our skin contributes to 15% of our body weight, which I think is interesting. I never really considered how heavy skin might be. So, if you weigh 200 pounds, then your skin is 30 pounds of that. So that's it's pretty heavy. It's pretty significant, I think, and interesting. So a typical human's skin is about 21 square feet. If you laid it out on the ground, it'd be like the size of a little closet, I guess. And also within our skin, we have 11 miles of blood vessels running all through, and a lot of them we can see, when they're close to the skin. But there's 11 miles. That's a lot of blood vessels. So our skin is the thickest on our feet, which might seem obvious. I'm sure many, thousands and millions of years ago, when shoes weren't a thing, that was a very, an evolutionary adaptation to protect our feet from walking around all day. And then, as you may have guessed, the thinnest skin on our bodies is on our eyelids, which, seems pretty logical or obvious, at least. That's some pretty fine skin there. And that's why we get all these little wrinkles all around our eyes. And they show up really quickly. Okay, so here's where it gets a little, maybe kind of squeamish if you're not, if you are a little squeamish about these types of things. So we produce 9 pounds of dead skin cells every year. So another little, perspective to look at that fact is every minute you lose 30 to 40,000 dead skin cells. So literally in the time it's taking me to tell you about this fun fact, there are now 30 to 40,000 new dead skin cells all around the chair. So we might need to call someone in here to vacuum. But that's just fascinating. Like that's just so many dead skin cells, and they're all just falling off all the time. Kind of like my paper. All right, and so you've probably heard the statistic, now that you know this, that the majority of the dust in your house is dead skin cells, which, take it or leave it, it is what it is. So anyway, that gives you something to think about next time you're doing a little cleaning around the house. Alrighty, so now that I've completely, grossed you out, let's get into how we can keep our skin healthy. And regardless of how healthy it is, you're still gonna slough off all those dead skin cells. So there's no way to prevent that. In fact, that's like kind of a good, it's a good process that's happening, just to make sure that the skin on the top of your, that's really protecting you is new and fresh and healthy. So your body kind of just naturally rotates those skin cells off and then creates new ones, and they're constantly kind of going up and then falling off, going up, going up. All right. So healthy skin is something we hear a lot about. When you're young, everything is about, having vibrant, healthy skin. And then, of course, as we get older, we really notice the effects of getting older when we look in the mirror and we see all the wrinkles and the sunspots and the scars that don't heal and things like the big bruises that form, the varicose veins, all of those things. Just those constant reminders that, hey, we're getting a little older. But a lot of, the functionality of our skin is also changing, some of the things we can't necessarily see. So as we get older, the vasculature, those 11 miles of blood vessels, they start to atrophy, kind of like our muscles might atrophy or other things, which then can contribute to poor circulation, which, then contributes to all kinds of skin issues that we'll talk about. So kind of your dermis in general just kind of starts to deteriorate. You lose your elasticity, or what we call turgor, in reference to skin. So my dad always, told us about the test where if you pinch your skin, the younger you are, it's probably gonna just kind of bounce right back. But then as you get older, it might kind of, that little hump might linger a little longer, or it might kind of flab around. So, and that's normal. I mean, that's just a normal part of getting older. You tend to be dehydrated more when you're older. You're also losing a lot of that subcutaneous fat under there, which kind of maintains that plumpness. And then also the muscle mass might be wearing away as well. So that all of those things are kind of contributing to, just the appearance of your skin and its firmness and its plump looking appearance. So you also have a decreased response to temperature and pain and pressure. So you have some normal neuropathy that might be happening due to maybe a disease process or just normal aging. But then it's just kind of a normal part of getting older where those receptors on our skin aren't functioning like they used to. So you might not notice, if you spill a hot liquid on you, you might not really notice that it's burning your skin. Or you might not feel pain like you used to, or pressure if your feet are always kind of resting on the end of a bed, or you're sitting, you're kind of wheelchair bound, or you sit a lot. You might not notice kind of that need to shift and move around when pressure's building up. And then, of course, we tend to take more medications as we get older, which can also affect the health of your skin. And our skin just isn't able to repair itself like it used to. If we have scar, like a skin tear or something, and we get a cut or a burn or a bruise or something, our skin has, just like, most parts of our bodies, a process to just kind of, heal that and regenerate that skin. But that kind of decreases through time. All right. So as you can imagine, also, as we get older, we are just more prone to injuries. Our skin just becomes thin or frail. All of these processes are happening naturally, and then also might be happening, faster just based on different disease states and medications and things like that, and nutrition status, like we talked about. So you're definitely more prone to just skin injuries from normal day-to-day things, but then also kind of new challenges that arrive as we get older. So, maybe you're in a wheelchair, so now you've got like the potential to bump your leg on all the metal stuff around, or your arms on the metal stuff, or maybe you lose your balance more often, so you might bump into furniture or something like that. Or like I said, you're sitting more often, or you're laying in bed more often, so you're more susceptible to that skin breakdown from pressure buildup. Your vasculature, in your circulation in your legs usually, but could happen anywhere, especially like on your fingertips, that starts to kind of wear down, which then can lead to vascular wounds, things like that. So the more prone we are to injuries, which might cause like an opening of the skin, whether it's an ulcer or a skin tear or a burn or anything, then also because we're a little older, we are now more prone to infections. Those open areas are inviting bacteria to come in and cause an infection, and our immune systems are already suppressed, so then that can kind of lead to a more widespread infection. So all of these things make it really important for us to take good care of our skin, because it's kind of, it's starting to struggle as we get older. There's a lot of things that are kind of fighting against skin, which is supposed to be fighting for us to protect our bodies. So how do we protect our skin? So there are lots of different ways. So there's just good hygiene, making sure we're keeping our skin clean, making sure we're kind of inspecting areas that we may not normally look at, like our feet or things like that, just to look for cuts and burns or bruises or whatever that we may not have noticed. Also, hydration is so important to so many things, but of course in this context it's very important to help the health of our skin. So making sure you're staying hydrated, avoiding sun exposure to prevent skin cancers, things like that. Now, kind of a little side note, you probably know that that we can create vitamin D through exposure to sunlight to our skin. However, I feel like the risk of skin cancer probably outweighs the benefit of the sunlight in our skin. So I would probably be more prone to tell you, don't worry about trying to get vitamin D through sunlight in your skin. I would prevent that skin cancer first. Also, as we get older, our skin isn't really capable of, or isn't as capable of creating that vitamin D through our skin. So you're probably not getting a real viable amount anyway. So go ahead and cover up, put your sunscreen on, and protect yourself from skin cancer. You can always take a vitamin D supplement or get vitamin D through food. So there are other ways other than just the sun. Alrighty, so we should also, of course, work to manage our diabetes or high blood pressure if that's an issue, or any other heart conditions, because again, that affects our circulation, which then can affect, blood flow to our skin and oxygen and things like that. And then for people with diabetes, you become very prone to neuropathy, which then makes you more prone to cuts and things that you just might not be aware of that are going on because you can't really feel them happening. And then also, of course, diabetic ulcers are a problem. So, and then, of course, we just want to try to move as much as we can. Move around, change positions, just to relieve the pressure that builds up on your skin, especially on the bony areas of your body, like your bottom, your heels, an elbow maybe, things like that, that are kind of just constantly resting on something. Again, you lose that sensation to shift around like I'm doing right now, to relieve that pressure, which then can lead to skin breakdown. All right, you should also see a dermatologist regularly, especially if you're, got lots of moles and things. You want to just, if you can't kind of reach around and see how your moles are doing, if they're in difficult places to visualize and monitor, you should probably go see a dermatologist pretty routinely just to kind of get all those things checked up on. Okay, but of course, the big one that we're here to talk about is nutrition, how nutrition can play a role in taking care of our skin. All right, so we will go through a list of the different things, the different vitamins and minerals and things that can help us to protect our skin. So first of all, we want to always make sure we're getting plenty of antioxidants. Antioxidants help to prevent that increased risk of cancer. They're there to kind of kill off what we call free radicals, which are the things that go in and mess with our DNA and our cells and can cause cancer. So the same thing happens in our skin. It helps to prevent those skin cancers or other changes, molecular changes that are happening in our skin that can cause problems. So foods that are high in antioxidants are foods that have vitamin C and vitamin E. So vitamin C is a lot of our citrus fruits and leafy greens, things like that. Vitamin E is very prevalent in our oils, healthy oils, vegetable oils, things like, and then like nuts and seeds, things like that. So we also want to support cell reproduction. Remember I said we're sloughing off dead skin cells, so we want to help our body reproduce new cells to replace the ones that have all fallen on the ground all over our house. So foods that are high in vitamin A, all of the B vitamins, and then vitamin D, like we talked about. Those are the vitamins that are going to help that cell reproduction. Vitamin A you're gonna find that in a lot of your bright yellow and orange fruits and veggies. B vitamins are in a lot of your fortified grains and cereals and things like that. Vitamin D, of course, we can get that fortified in milk, but also in like fatty fishes, salmon. I've said many times vitamin D is more difficult to get through food. So it's not uncommon that older people are deficient in vitamin D and take a vitamin D supplement, and that is pretty normal and encouraged if you are deficient. Okay, so another important aspect to keeping our skin healthy is to make sure we're getting collagen, which is a type of protein that helps skin formation, especially like helping wounds heal, things like that. We want to make sure we're getting that collagen. So B vitamins and vitamin C and zinc all play a role in collagen production. So we want to make sure we're getting those vitamins as plentifully. And we've talked about B and C, but zinc is also found in things like, I'm looking some of our meats like beef and chicken and pork, but also nuts, lentil, oatmeal, mushrooms. So it's kind of a random list, but these are pretty common foods, so it's not too hard to get. You also want to make sure you're getting enough protein, because collagen is a protein. So you want to make sure you have that protein supply so your body can then create the actual collagen. And then other vitamins and minerals that might contribute to just supporting your immune system and your immunity and also reducing inflammation. It's all the same ones: vitamin A, the vitamin B complex, vitamin D. All of these, again, support your immune system, reduce inflammation. And then one other one is vitamin C is important because we need, I think we talked about this 2 episodes ago, vitamin C is important for the absorption of iron. And we all know we need iron to prevent anemia and things like that, but it also helps to supply oxygen to wounds to promote that healing. So we want to make sure we're getting enough iron, but also vitamin C to help our bodies utilize that iron. So I kind of went through the vitamins and minerals really quickly, and the reason why is one thing that we talk about all the time. What's good for one part of your body is probably good for a lot of parts of your body. So again, you really just we've kind of covered all the vitamins or all the vitamins at least, not so much the minerals. So if you're eating a wide variety of fruits and vegetables, remember we always talk about those brightly colored foods are the ones that are full of vitamins and minerals. So if you're making sure you're getting a wide variety of those bright, colorful fruits and veggies, you're probably getting all of these vitamins, and you're benefiting your skin as well as lots of your whole body, really. I mean, your whole body can utilize these things in good ways. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to, keep track of all the things or whatever. Just make sure you're eating a healthy, well-balanced diet, and you're probably good. All right. So one other food type that is really important, probably the most important to skin health, is protein. And protein is good for so many things from head to toe in our bodies, especially as we get older. But it is also really good for our skin, especially if you have wounds, maybe a big surgical wound, maybe you have pressure ulcers or diabetic wounds, all kinds of things, burns, whatever, all these big wounds that you get. Protein is going to be your number one source of good, fast wound healing. So you should always be getting plenty of protein in general, but if you have some sort of a big wound, you want to just keep in mind that you should probably increase your protein intake as well as your calorie intake. Because think about it, when your body's trying to regenerate that wound and heal it up, and also trying to prevent infection from all of the things that it might be getting into it, it's like it sends your body kind of into overdrive. So you need more calories now to compensate for that extra work it's doing, and more protein, which can provide some of those calories too. So just make sure you're bumping up that the calories and protein if you had a big surgery and you have a big incision or something, or a pressure wound or something like that. So of course, protein, good sources of protein are anything animal based. So all of our meats, but also dairy products, eggs, cheese, yogurt, all of those things. But then for plant-based options, you also have tofu, beans, like we talked about, lentils, quinoa, nuts and nut butters. So like peanut butter is a great little snack too for wound healing. Alrighty, so again, some of what we're talking about here, those barriers to good wound healing. If you have this wound that's just not getting better and you keep having to change the bandages or whatever, it's getting infected, you might need to consider that maybe you're not getting all of your vitamins and minerals and you're not getting enough protein and calories. So I can certainly help you figure out what that might look like, or how you can do that. Or you might consider, adding a multivitamin, or maybe a protein supplement, or one of like a drink like Ensure or Boost, one of those types of things. But also immobility and infections are also just going to exacerbate those problems. So we want to make sure, again, we're moving around as much as we can, getting exercise, getting the blood flowing through all of our parts, moving things around, and then of course just trying to prevent infections. Let's see. So kind of like I mentioned, if you feel like you're not able to get good nutrition in for whatever reason, especially if you've got some sort of a skin condition, you might consider, like I said, just a simple multivitamin is probably fine. It will cover you with all of the vitamins and minerals we talked about. And then you want to just make sure you're getting enough protein. So kind of making protein your priority in a meal, as well as your fruits and veggies. And then you might consider, like I said, a multivitamin or one of those drinks like a Boost or an Ensure, just to kind of make sure you're getting a little extra calories. They have some that are higher protein. I think a normal Ensure has about 9 grams, but then they have the high protein, which has like 15 to 20. So there's lots of varieties out there. You could even do like a Carnation Instant Breakfast or Premier Protein or things like that. So those are all things to consider. And so if you ever have any questions about, problems you're having with your skin that might be related to your diet, I'm always happy to address that. So you're welcome to give me a call or stop by my office, and we can talk about it, and we can figure out how many calories and protein you need to make sure we're at least tackling your skin issues from a nutrition standpoint. And then beyond that, you might need to see a dermatologist or a wound care specialist. I can't always help in those realms, but we can at least make sure your nutrition is covered. So anyway, so again, any questions, please come to see me. I think that wraps us up for today. So I was informed that next week is Eddie's birthday. So happy birthday to Eddie. He's our awesome producer here. But since it'll be his birthday, he'll be on vacation. So we're going to skip next week. The next week will be Residence Council, so we'll skip that next week. So then we'll be back after that. And it'll be close to October at that point, which is ridiculous. So hopefully we will be seeing some cooler temps by then. So, we can hope for that. It's been pretty humid, so I'm ready for a change. But anyway, I hope you all have a great couple of weeks, and we will see you soon.